This is why I was not commenting on the ceasefire from the beginning. I don't know how else to emphasize that this is one of the most fragile ceasefires in modern history. Trump had to go to both Qatar and Egypt in order to broker the ceasefire because Hamas and Israel refused to meet in the same room. It's just unfortunate because it's not even surprising, because Israel has a long history of shutting out Palestinian delegates in negotiations, which is their first mistake. Because in order to achieve the level of peace needed in order to reach a peaceful resolution, you need to acknowledge all stakeholders in the conflict, including armed non-state actors. Disclaimer, this is not new. We watched this play out in Northern Ireland when it took decades for the British to realize that they needed to legitimize the Irish delegates, including the IRA, before they had reached the Good Friday Agreement. And what we learned is that in order to achieve peace, we need a degree of mutual disarmament or demilitarization. Let's be clear, the only way that Israel will comply with a true ceasefire is by disarming. That will happen is if the United States disarms Israel itself. This is not new. We also saw this in Northern Ireland when there was a disproportionate amount of pressure on the Irish delegates in the IRA and not on the British. That brings me to, here is the real problem. It is one big security dilemma. Every move that Israel makes to feel safe, more troops, buffer zones, demanding that Hamas and its affiliates disarm without any mutual disarmament agreement, just makes Palestinians feel more threatened. This is why armed non-state actors hold on so tightly to their weapons and their ammunitions, because it is quite literally their only shield from their oppressor. And what happens is that the oppressor points to those weapons as proof as to why the resistance groups cannot be trusted, literally feeding fear with no way out for either side. It's not just about weapons. Palestinians are fighting decades of persecution and occupation that is sewn into the fabric of their culture and history. While Israel's historical memory is also, yes, born out of centuries of persecution and displacement, it has now been translated into unprecedented amounts of foreign aid, protection, and immunity. That is disguised as this need to exert a level of power over not just the Palestinians, but the Arab world in general in order to survive. Well, both sides are essentially clinging to history. For Palestinians, the memory fuels the resistance. For Israel, the memory reinforces the power that they hold over the Palestinians, and neither one of those memories is being reconciled at the table. That is what the Good Friday Agreement did well. There was a lot of transitional justice not only built into the Good Friday Agreement, but also into the Constitution. Therefore, if the historical memories of both Israel and Palestine are not acknowledged in these negotiations, and any ceasefire resolution is doomed from the beginning. The truth is, without a more equitable balance of power between both sides and international mediators that are dedicated to balancing the power at the table instead of reinforcing the imbalance of power, and without the recognition of each side's respective historical memory, the pain and suffering will just continue to persevere on both sides. Instead, you're essentially just pressing pause until the next round of violence occurs, which is exactly what happened.